In this tutorial, we'll be looking at the layout of RapMap. We'll also then move on and look at some of the display options and what some of the buttons do. So let's start with the layout. There is the map viewer, which is on the right hand side. This is where you can see the map. On the left is the workbench, and this is where you can change and turn on and off the functions of what's displayed on the right. It also enables you to access other parts of RapMap, especially through the Explore Map Data, which brings up a new screen. We'll talk about this later. But on the right hand side, probably the most important button when you first start is the map settings. When RapMap starts, it starts in 2D mode, which means the number of options on the screen are limited. If you go to 3D mode, you get a lot more options, which I won't be going into today. So if you end up some reason with more buttons on the screen than in 2D mode, please select 2D. So we'll just turn off the map settings and we'll zoom in to show how the imagery updates as you zoom in. This can be really handy so you can see all the different features of the landscape. If you keep zooming and you turn off the cover map, so here we are in the dune fields, so you see the imagery changes when you zoom a long way in. Now, these are high resolution images to the point that when you zoom right in, you can see individual bushes, shrubs, and lots of detail. This is very, very handy when you're trying to locate things and understand what the imagery above is talking about. Okay, we'll zoom back out again. This button over here is also the zoom button, so you can zoom out using it. And then the imagery changes on the way back out. Okay. So the other things which are really important is that within the map settings, there are other types of maps. So you may just want one without labels, same imagery, just a standard type of map with roads and names. Then there's this natural earth map. We can show you other features, just different colouring. And there's just a plain white map. This can be handy at times if you're trying to just display things on top of one of the other maps. Okay, so that's enough for the map settings. The other buttons over here are quite handy. This is the location button. If you click this, especially if it's on your phone, this will bring you to where your current location is. So today I'm in Gunnedah, so it zooms to Gunnedah. Another useful button is the compare button, this one here. This enables you to compare two sets of data side by side. If you click this button over here, it splits the screen. So if you wanted to display different things on each side, you could, for example, turn on the total vegetation cover. Now it's on both sides. If I only want to show it on the left, I click there and that shows the base map underneath. I could then add a better map for the right hand side. So as I zoom backwards and forwards, I can see this is a forest and that's its current cover level. Some low numbers out here, something to do with these paddocks. So that's two different data sets side by side, but you can also compare the same data set. So let's just turn this off. I'm looking at total vegetation cover. I'm looking at the 2nd of June 2022. If I click this button, there's another compare button. What this does is now make duplicates. So on the left hand side and the right hand side is the same data. But imagine on the right hand side I wanted to look for another date. So what I might do is go back to January or December. So now it's the December data on the right and the June data on the left. So you can see out here on the plains, on the left in June, it's green. It's now got lower cover in another time of years. So you can compare two different times by changing the times here, or you can compare two different data sets. So for another example, so I might turn one of these off. I'm going to turn off the right hand one. I'm now going to add some more data. We'll do this in more detail later, but I'm going to add the vegetation anomaly. I'm going to put it on the right hand side only. So this is June vegetation anomaly, and down here is December total cover. If I zoom backwards and forwards, I can see that this pixels here are bright red, which means that they're 10 to 15% lower than average for compared to all other Junes. These ones here are very high cover, and as you can see, they are sort of 20 to 25%. So these are a very good cover at this time compared to all the record, and it's high cover on the map. So let's turn off these split feature, and we'll just stop displaying the vegetation anomaly, and we'll stop displaying total vegetation cover. So now I've got a map. So I might want to use another feature, which over here is the line measure. So if I'd like to know how big Gunnedah is, I can click on one side of the town, go to the other side, and it tells me that it's 3.58 kilometres across. So this comes in handy if you want to measure things. It's a good little tool. When you're finished, click done and it disappears. And the last one, which is probably one of the more useful features, is when you have a map open or multiple maps open. If you click anywhere on the map, the feature information comes up. It tells you the lat and the long, and then it tells you what the information is that's being displayed. So this says there is 27% ground cover at that point. If I click over here, it'll tell me there's a different ground cover level. There's now 100% ground cover. So this can give you site or pixel information. It's quite handy, and if you have other layers displayed, it will also display them in this drop-down list. It'll list all the different layers, and you can see all the different data at that point. So that now concludes the Map Viewer Display Options tutorial.